Heat and humidity, the trademarks of an Iowa summer, give way to cooler fall temperatures, and Iowans start looking for new types of outdoor adventures. Whether it's staring up at the stars, biking down a hill, or paddling out into one of our state's beautiful lakes, recreational areas like George Wythe State Park here in Iowa's Cedar Valley tend to see heavy traffic this time of year.
Few obstacles keep us from tackling a trip into the Iowa wilderness. Not heavy rains or blazing heat or pitch black nights brought on by early sunsets. Some Iowans push past these extremes as well, partaking in the outdoor rewards while barefoot.
When thinking about being barefoot outdoors, you probably conjure up memories of walking across the lawn or lying on a beach. But for a select group of Iowa athletes, being barefoot outdoors means one thing: running.
Over the past couple of years, barefoot running has built a fervent following. Some use it as a means of rehabilitation, others use it as a way to commune with nature. However, all see it as a chance to break free and simply run.
What is the last thing you put on before stepping outside? For almost every activity you can think of, there is a specific set of footwear. For running, it's the sneaker. These shoes are crafted specifically to protect the foot, cushion the blow as we strike the earth, and provide a boost of endurance so we can run farther and faster.
Shoe technology has just taken off. I mean, it's to the point now that your foot can absorb way more than it's meant to.
Adam Reese is a biomechanics expert, meaning he's been educated in the proper function of our joints, and in this case, that means the human foot.
You know, if you're going for a 20-mile test run, you can pull it off with shoes on, even if you're not in really that awesome of shape, just because your body can withstand it, because the shoe technology is so amazing. That's a lot of stress that the body has to absorb. So they're gonna adapt to that in some way. It's gonna start building stiffness in the calf, hamstring, lower back, and eventually you could develop an injury. But either way, it's just not altogether healthy to be running that far on a regular basis.
Knowing full well that some people can't stop themselves from running too much or too far, a self-limiting alternative might be the answer, such as running barefoot. While it might sound odd at first, running barefoot, without a shoe to protect it, the foot is forced to stay within its limits.
Your foot is gonna hit the ground perfectly every single time, or it's gonna result in pain. But the biggest thing around barefoot running is that it's not about running more, it's about running better. It's about quality versus quantity. And I think for people that are really long distance runners, that have been long distance runners their whole life and then they switch to barefoot, I think that that's what they're noticing.
You know, you feel the coolness of the pavement, you feel the sunshine, you feel the cool. It's beautiful out, isn't it?
Steve Schroeder has been running on and off his entire life. And after attempting to get up to marathon distance, he started to feel sharp pains in his knees. The pain eventually got so bad, Steve visited an orthopedic surgeon who gave him the worst diagnosis a runner can receive.
I was told there was no cartilage left. And he just said, he goes, you just don't have knees. There's nothing left there. You're not going to run, you know, to any distance without pain. And in my brain, it always said it was something isn't right.
Steve says he tried every footwear and running trend he could find, but nothing relieved the pain he felt in his knees while running. That is until he discovered the minimal movement, where runners wear extremely thin-soled shoes, allowing them to feel the earth and potentially rehabilitate their legs.
So it was kind of funny. About 4.5 years ago, I went to a shoe store, and I remember talking to one of the salespeople there about, you know, well, give me some information on, you know, I'm thinking of like going minimal or even going barefoot. He goes, yeah, that's kind of neat. He goes, what you need to do is from where you're at today, he goes, there's like a series of 3 or 4 steps, and you want to reduce yourself down in this series of programs. You have to condition your body and your foot because you can't just take your shoes off. He goes, you can't do that. And I remember looking at him and saying, well, why?
So Steve did just that. He took his shoes off, and for months, simply walked around barefoot on different surfaces, just getting used to the feeling. 6 months into his barefoot experiment, Steve got the courage to visit George Wythe State Park and finally go for a run.
And I went out. It had been the first time I've kind of found a little dirt trail, and and it was kind of soft, and I probably went like a quarter of a mile, kind of just a little jog, and it felt so right.
Steve was back. The pain was gone, and gradually he built back up to marathon distances, running on virtually every surface imaginable. And this is where Steve and Adam's opinions on barefoot running differ greatly.
The win nots of barefoot running would be if, like running on concrete. You would never do barefoot running on concrete.
The easiest thing to run on barefoot is concrete. You're going to pay attention to where you're at. You're going to look at the surface in front of you and up ahead.
Running on grass and dirt, sand, those things are good. They stimulate the feet. They're soft. They allow for that gait that happens properly with barefoot running.
These contrasting views come from how both approach barefoot. Adam, a biomechanic who builds workout plans for a living, sees barefoot running as part of an overall fitness and health program, whereas Steve uses barefoot running as a way to be outdoors and experience nature.
When you run barefoot, you run so quiet. You are so perfectly aligned to nature. You're perfectly aligned to your surroundings because you're part of it. I just think shoes, headphones, all this gear, we've lost track of what is the most basic human element, which is movement.
If barefoot running is appropriate for you, then it's a portion of a comprehensive plan. You have tons of different muscles besides the muscles in your feet and the muscles in your legs, and I just don't think it's enough, and it's just not appropriate for enough people to make a blanket statement like that.
I went barefoot primarily because it felt better. It felt natural, it felt real to me, but it's bigger than that. You feel things, you see things, and we don't need much more.
Both Steve and Adam agree. There is the potential for most people to run barefoot, but it takes patience, awareness, and diligence.
I think your body will become adjusted to where you're at, and you can adjust your body to anything as long as you allow it the time to do it.
Not everybody should just go out and just barefoot run right away, but it definitely has its merits. You're just not going to be able to run as far barefoot, so your body is going to have that time to recover. Then things are probably going to feel more regenerative, and your tissues are going to feel better, your foot is going to feel better, everything's going to kind of improve.
You don't need a class, you don't need a teacher, you don't need a seminar. You do not need a strategy of 15 effective methods to do this. Take your shoes off, start walking around again. Take the time to readjust to it.